DJing, it was kind of like, you know, just by coincidence, 96 more or less, I was like buying a lot of techno CDs, you know, and next thing you know, I had like shitloads of CDs, and some mates started saying, yeah, you should start DJing, like, you know. I actually used to always like playing with like the equalizations of hi-fis before that, you know, and it all came naturally. So next thing you know, I was DJing, you know. Producing wise, that was probably after, you know. It was also like kind of like just experience, you know. Next thing I was making tunes, like, I suppose they're totally two different concepts, you know, two different languages, you know, like, you know, when you're DJing, it's so on the spot, you know, it's on the moment, it's something that you know, it happens there and then, like, you know. And producing, it's something that it's much more wider when it comes to time span. It's something that, you know, you're gonna take longer to do, to create, and to see the results. Like, you know, DJing is it's instant pleasure. Like, for, you know, even if you're playing alone or if you're playing in front of a crowd, you're gonna get something straight out on the spot, and that's fantastic, you know. And producing is great as well, because it's something that you can put more time into, and you can do probably something a bit more complex, and at the end of the day, a bit more personal, because you're not really playing the tracks of someone else, you're creating something. Not that in DJing you're not creating, because you're also creating something, but producing, you can do something a bit more personal. That's very interesting in that aspect, you know. There's something about techno and the banging stuff and the energy of it that it's unbeatable, like, you know. I mean, there's so much stuff in electronic music that is great, that I love, but that you know, that buzz that you get with the proper techno track that just comes in and it gets everybody involved, and there's nothing, you can't beat that, you know. That's what I like most, like, you know. Nowadays I've always varied much what I'll be playing, you know. I'll be playing like even tech house stuff or even harder stuff, but particularly that thing that people call techno is something that just moves me a lot. Like, hey, it sounds probably corny or whatever, but this is my spiritual home. This is where I feel home. This is where my mates are, like, you know. I had to leave for several reasons at the time, but when I get back here, even if it's changed a lot, I do feel at home, and it kind of makes me feel, Jesus, you know, what I should be here, you know. I shouldn't be living where I am, you know. But I always feel really happy here. It just, time flies past too fast, and I can't see everyone, so it's a bit frustrating in that sense, I suppose. Yeah. There's so many moments, like, you know, sometimes it was like playing like in the music center in front of 500 people, or in a rave in Glen of the Downs in some cave, you know, and that was just amazing. But I've had like gigs here in front of 5 people on a Tuesday night, like literally 5 people, you know, and everybody was just going mad, bonkers. Those moments can be as good as in front of 1,000 people, like, you know. So you have images in your head that will never leave your mind, and there was definitely several moments. I can't say one in particular, but man, if you could put it all in one moment, then that, I suppose that's the closest thing as paradise as you can get, like, you know. Well, you definitely can see that things have changed, and there's several factors that come into the question. Like, first of all, like, you know, Dublin's not the city it was 5 years ago. Today, Dublin has loads of foreigners that just came at the same time, changed the city the whole way around. It's become a very metropolitan city. It doesn't have that kind of provincial, but in a good sense, provincial way, you know, that Dublin was, like, you know. And it had a lot of energy, like 5-6 years ago, that was really pure, and it was really typical of Ireland or Dublin. Like, you'd go to other cities of Europe and you didn't have that, like, you know. And you've definitely seen a change, but at the same time, you can still find the essence of the Irish scene and the energy in the crowd. It's still there, and that's what's great, you know. That's something that it's a dilemma. It's nearly a conundrum in my life. Is like, should I go back to Dublin or not? I mean, there's several factors, like, you know, I don't have a European passport, like, you know. If I did, I'd be living here. That's obvious, like, you know. But to live here, I'd probably have to get, like, you know, a working permit to work in some big company, and next thing you know, I'm doing a 9 to 5 and just doing something that is not me. So that's complicated in that sense, you know. But at the same time, I think about doing that sacrifice, because geez, this is home, like, you know. The only bad point is what everybody knows is the weather, you know. How are you gonna live here without the fucking sun and the beach and, you know, other things, you know. But yeah. Well, it's going really good. Like, you know, I put a lot of work into it and stuff, and at first you don't really know what people are gonna think, because it's an album that it's actually, like, you know, it's very diverse. It goes from various genres, you know. It starts really down tempo, it finishes off with techno and other stuff, and you just don't know, you know. Sometimes you ask, are people gonna like this or not, are they gonna understand this? But the reactions have been really quite good, like, you know. And I suppose the most important thing is that what you enjoy most is the process of the creation, you know, while you're making things. That's probably the most interesting part. It's like very therapeutical in a way when you're making tracks, and you just lose yourself there, and that's probably the best moment. Obviously, when you get the final product done in front of you, it's a great moment as well, like, you know. But I suppose there's several moments that you enjoy throughout, you know. I think I was never really a producer. I don't really consider myself a producer. I consider myself a DJ, first of all, like, you know. But producing has been my escapism since I've been there. For the lack of music, for the lack of techno, you know, for the lack of options, like, you know, I have to produce, otherwise I'll probably just go crazy, you know. And so I suppose that has influenced a lot. And at the end of the day, Banzo, my album, that's what it's about. It's about, like, you know, trying to remember yourself, trying to remember where you came from. And at the end of the day, I came from here, you know. I started DJing after 6 months. I came here, you know. I was made in Dublin, like, you know. And a lot of times when I'm producing, probably unconsciously, I'm thinking about here or things like that, you know. You know, I'm living in Rio. There's not much of a scene in Rio, unfortunately, like, you know. It's all based in São Paulo, and it's not always easy to get there, you know. It's like 7 hours, 6-7 hours from Rio, and it's kind of isolated. So unfortunately, the Brazilian scene loses in that sense, that everything is focused in one city, like, you know. In Rio, unfortunately, it's mostly, not unfortunate, but the reality is it's house, electro, minimal, and it's very small, and unfortunately there's not much techno. So for someone like me, at times it can be very frustrating to be in a place like Rio, but then I just fuck off on the beach and stay in the sun, and I'm like, okay, this is not bad, like, you know. But yeah, but you do miss the techno and all that, like, you definitely do, you know. For the next month, I'm gonna be spending some time with my folks in Europe, where they're living at the moment. But after that, God knows, like, you know, I definitely want to get back in the studio. I'm missing my equipment and all that stuff. You know, it's good to be here, but I'm far from my stuff, my equipment and all that stuff. Sometimes you have an idea, you wish you could produce something at the moment. But I definitely want to put in loads of energy and, you know, continue the dream, continue the journey that is, like, that you live, like, you know, that we all live, you know. You could call it techno, you know. You want to live that as long as you can, until you die, basically, you know. We're gonna be there trying to do things. So I guess that's it, like, you know, try to get things done, you know.